Good morning. You're watching Ask Profit on NDTV Profit. I'm Smriti Chaudhary and with me is Mathew. And for the next 30 minutes, we'll take all your stock market related questions and get them answered by the experts here on the show. Now on that note, let me introduce you to the guests for today. We have Rohan Mehta of Total Wealth and Vaishali Parekh of Prabhudas Lilladher. Welcome Vaishali and Rohan, and thank you for taking the time out. Now, quickly diving into markets, and markets are at an all-time high today. But Alex, tell us what's buzzing in markets, what's taking it higher today?
Well, Smriti, good morning to you, and in fact, good morning to our experts as well as all our viewers. On a normal day, the Nifty 50 hitting an all-time high would be the biggest headline that we talk about, and that indeed was the case. Just a short while back, 21,848 or thereabouts was a fresh all-time high, and we're not too far away from that mark with gains of about 0.8%. But really, the biggest headline has to be the IT index. And why don't we just pull that up on the screen? Because as a whole, the pack is up about 4.8%. It was up about 5% just a few seconds back. And indeed, this is on the back of TCS as well as Infosys. Both of those stocks doing particularly well. Infosys, despite the fact that it had a decline in its revenue on a sequential basis and in fact the PAT, seemingly the expectation is that a bottom has been hit on the earnings front. Whether or not that indeed is the case, let's find out from our experts. In fact, let me come across to Rohan first on the fundamentals. Rohan, I guess to a certain extent one can assume, and this is something that was said about 3 months back, that the bottom had been hit on the prices, and that indeed has panned out. At that point, we were talking about the fact that the bottom had not yet been hit on earnings. Can we now conclusively say that? It seems like the market thinks that.
Yeah, good morning. See, what has happened is that IT had done a great roller from 2000 last decade, and then we had seen that the valuation moved more to the capex side of the story, and again US had been a bit slow down to the point. So still we are seeing a great opportunity into mid-size of the companies, but rather still we are not extremely bullish onto the large side of the companies like the names of Infosys or TCS, because it needs to surprise the streets and surprise the markets, and that's what we don't see. So maybe companies like Coforge or maybe Sensar or companies like a bit of HCL Tech is still a better choice than going forward for a great name like an Infosys or TCS, because value is still more there and the earnings are more surprising over there.
Okay, fair point. Let's quickly take a view on the technicals as well. What do you say, Vaishali? How should one trade this? Not every day that you see a 5% pop for the index.
Very good morning. Actually, yes, we were awaiting this because there was no participation coming from the IT sector. There was no participation coming from the banking sector. But it was last 2-3 days, it was only Reliance which was holding the market and supporting the levels. But today, well, it's a real treat and a celebration because Nifty is also on the verge of going to breakout levels, and we are heading towards, hopefully we are heading towards 22,000 and higher. So I would say that yes, it is now euphoric because and a convincing move because there is participation coming from all stocks. The frontline, especially today, post the results, Infosys and TCS, and along with the other IT stocks have given us very good returns. So I would say that yes, now market is poised for higher levels, and I think the IT index, the worst is over, and we are aiming at higher targets.
Right. Let's quickly dive into the questions now. The first one is coming from Chaudhary, and they're talking about Banco India shares that they have bought at 284 levels. The share is trading around 687. Based on the fundamentals, Rohan, would you suggest maybe accumulating this stock?
Sorry, but I don't study much into bank.
Okay, let's take a technical check on this then. Vaishali, how does it look on the charts?
So, well, chartically, I would say that yes, it's given a tremendous up move, but it is too high to start buying at these levels. I would rather say wait for a dip. It's currently at 687. I would say, well, wait for 630, 620 to start accumulating again.
Okay. Bank of India, I'm not so certain if Rohan got the name. Bank of India is the name of the counter. Just checking once if that's the counter that you heard as well.
It is Banco. So yeah, Bank of India. Yeah. So on that note, of course, we track Bank of India, and we feel that still there is a lot of value on a longer term scale, because if you see that from it has not done anything, believe me, anything from last a decade or so. And now the the revamp and the turnaround story of the bankings are coming. So this is not time to look forward for on a one or two short term scale, but it is 2 to 3 years stories where the returns can be multiple folds.
Okay, so apparently I'm being told that I got it wrong. It was indeed Banco, but then we got we got a view on Bank of India anyway. Let's take the next question. Tapas is asking about another bank, and that has to be South Indian Bank. So let's get a fundamental view on this one. What's the view fundamentally? And interestingly, we've got multiple questions on banks today, but let's break them up in any case. Rohan, what's the view on South Indian Bank?
Yeah, see, again, that is the same answer what has happened into Bank of India type of story. This bank is at consistent cash flow of what we have seen from nearly over 900 crores of what it was before 2019-20 at 200 crores. So the the profitability has actually tripled down. It is below 10 times. And, this is something no-brainer, at 5,000 crore, market cap. It's a decent thing. It's a great value buy. So I'll tell you this, that you don't, in this type of investment, don't expect the stocks to move every day. It will be like that 2 or 3 days or a month will take care of the year. So you have to be extremely patient to have patience to have this stock. So a buy from my side on South Indian Bank.
Right. Next up, we have a question from Marut, and they're talking about restaurant brand Asia. They've bought the shares at 111 rupees. It's trading around 126 right now. Now, they're asking for a fundamental and a technical view on this. Vaishali, I'll come to you first. Technical, give us targets for this stock. It's been very tepid in the last 1 year, but how does it look going forward?
So after a very long time, it has come out of its consolidation. So now I would say 118 acts as a support. And I would be now aiming for a target of 140 to 145 from here on. So it is a buy at every decline with a support of 180.
And Rohan, do you see a turnaround based on the fundamentals as well? Will it swing to profits?
Which company are you talking about?
Restaurants brand Asia.
I believe that it's extremely competitive as a business, and that's the reason we are out of it. So it can be. We don't see any turnaround stories into this category.
Okay, so then let me extend that question then, Rohan. From the QSR space, if you are to play something, then what would that be, and what are the metrics? Would it be something like a Jubilant?
See, what has happened is that QSR space post-COVID has changed a lot, after the deliverables of Zomato's and Swiggy's, where a mode of Jubilant was the delivery, and now, any pizza can give a delivery. So honestly, what has happened, a lot of homegrown brands has gone so much into a competition with price and with quality. So that has been a big concern. For Jubilant, it is, maybe in the west side, I'm seeing La Pino's as a product which is extremely competitive and people want to try something else. So on QSR, honestly, nothing is too exciting where, the revenues could be consistent, taking a barbecue nation or a lot of stuff, what we can specialty restaurant. So not very positive onto it. Rather than I would bet on something onto FMCG side or an OTC side where the revenues are more consistent and probable.
Okay. We've got a question coming in from Jaideep, and this is a shorter term question on State Bank of India. He is asking why it has moved lower over the last 1 week. In fact, it is up about 1.5% today. I must point out that this is a question that he had yesterday, and I'm taking it today. Vaishali, this is, I guess, a shorter term question. So on the charts, how does it look? Can it move, structurally higher from this level?
I would definitely think so because, of course, SBI has been a laggard and we are seeing that it's getting into a trend. So after making the recent high of around 660 levels, it's currently taken support of a moving average. And I think if this support is respected, I would say 615 to 610 acts as a very good support. And above 635, 636, it gains in further momentum to retest the previous highs. And once we cross that, so if he wants to extend the time period, I would say that, well, we can be looking for a target of 680 to 700. But for now, I would say support at 615 and shorter period target would be around 655, 660.
Right. Next up, we have a question from GC Prakash. He's written to us on YouTube and he's talking about delivery. He's bought shares at 532 levels. It's trading below that, 413, but we saw an uptick in price in the month of January last week. I think it crossed 400 levels. Based on that, Vaishali, tell us what do you think for the next couple of months? What kind of trajectory does it show on the charts for delivery?
I'll just have a look.
In the meanwhile, why don't we also get a fundamental view on delivery? Okay, you've got it, Vaishali?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
So I think, I would say that the near-term support lies at 400, and there is going to be a resistance at around 430. If we see the stock moving past 430, I think it's ready for the next target of 450. These are not the stocks that I would really have a look for a longer-term perspective. Maybe at 450 levels, we can have a relook for further price projections.
And Rohan, how does it look based on the fundamentals? Do you see a positive turnaround for delivery?
See, it is a leading player, and there's no doubt, the parcels what we get at our home are most of from the deliveries, the online shopping. But everything comes at a cost, at 1,000 or 1,500 crores of losses, and the way these things are. I, as an investor, would not look forward for as of now, maybe because see, return on time invested is also very important metrics. So maybe this company can turn around, but it will take a lot of time to, come into profit. So rather, once it posts or something sustainable, then it's okay if we are getting costly. But I would say that as of now, it is a sell from myself.
Okay. We've got a question I'm just trying to get the name and I've lost it, but I'm still going to read it. Oh, Sri from Cochin is asking this question. Cipla, Torrent Pharma and Glenmark are currently in his portfolio. He would like to add one or two more pharma stocks and want to know, is it a good bet to invest in Biocon? And if yes, he would like to understand an entry level for the next 2-year period. And would you also advise a couple of alternative pharma stocks with a reasonable growth projection from this point? So I've more or less read verbatim what his message is to both of you. I would like to first, on the fundamentals, come to you, Rohan. Which would you pick, apart from the ones that he has held? I'm going to repeat: Cipla, Torrent Pharma and Glenmark.
So you want to tell me that which one is better from these three?
No, he's thinking of adding a couple more, one or two more. Okay. So what should he add, if he should indeed?
Yeah, so for example, for two companies which I think so it's extremely very well placed. One is of course Sun Pharma, which is the leader in the industry. And second is a very newly listed company called Mankind Pharma. See, Mankind Pharma has pure domestic play. Plus, they have three extraordinary brands, that is Mankind, Manforce Condoms, Gasofast, and Prega News. That's extraordinary, brand they have created for an OTC. So, domestic place plus OTC and plus Sun Pharma as a leader. I think so. Two stocks which should be added in the portfolio.
Okay. Next up, we have a question from Mamta, and they're talking about Bandhan Bank. They want a short-term view on this. Vaishali, how does Bandhan Bank look? 1-year performance has been, it's pretty much flattish since the last 1 year.
So, well, it did give a breakout, at around 257, 260. And then from there on, with some news, it has faltered and it has come back to the support level. So I would say keep 228 as stop loss and let this stock move above 238 levels decisively. Then I would say that, yes, it's ready for the next target of, again, 260. It's a wait and watch till 260. If it sustains about 260, 265, then it's ready for a target of 300. So right now, it's a very small range that we are looking at.
All right. Devang is joining in and asking a question about Jio Financial Services. He's bought 2,000 shares at a price of 242. The stock is currently trading at 257 or thereabouts. Obviously, this is a question for you, Rohan, on the fundamentals, because I don't think Vaishali is going to have enough data to talk about this. But there isn't too much on the business side either yet, right? It's the promise that the company holds that people are buying into. So what is the advice that you would give to Devang here?
So there are two types of investments we do. One is with love and one is with logic. In love, Jio Financial could be amazing. In logic, it is not at all. I would really go forward for companies like Nippon India or Motilal Oswal, which is really making extremely good cash flows available at some cheap, deep valuations rather than going for Geo Financial Services. So I would wait for Geo to come out with a lot of profits and let's see ahead what it does. And then rather invest right now into companies like Motilal Oswal or Nippon Asset Management.
All right. We'll slip into a short break now, but we'll take more questions on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Ask Profit, and I hope you're writing your queries to us, but if not, you can write to us on the WhatsApp number that will be on your screen, and you can write to us through any of our social media channels as well, or on the YouTube live chat where I'm monitoring all the queries. So do keep sending us your questions. Now let's talk about a buzzing counter. This one's Polycab. We saw a massive downtick yesterday in the stock after the IT raids. The Income Tax Department came out with a statement, talked about it, but last night the company also came out with a clarification. And it's a common question now among viewers that should they now start buying the stock now that it has come down price-wise? So Rohan, based on the fundamentals, I know it's a little bit uncertain right now, but would you suggest buying at this point?
So I tell you, we did a scuttlebutt talking to management 2 years back, and we at that point of time, we had a question on corporate governance and we didn't buy it. See, when this type of question comes, I think so for an investor, just because the price is cheap, it should not be the reason to drop down into. And it is a very, very probable time that, it may go lower to lower of what it is. So I would really recommend, to just pause for this investments or this company for at least 1 or 2 quarters, see how the things are panning out. Is there a turnaround happening or not? Because if it goes more wrong from here, the downside is more higher than the upside.
Fair point. We've got several questions coming in, but this one specifically on Tata Power. And it's a question from Vizag. Srinivasa Kumar is asking about this. He's bought at levels of 356, which is not too far away from the current market price. Vaishali, on the technicals, would you suggest a hold or an exit at this point?
I would say it's a hold because we are looking at a trading target of 370 to 390, and stocks like these should be bought and declined. And well, look for higher targets, because power sector anyways is doing very well, and Tata Power per se has still got a lot of upside potential.
Next up, we have a question from Arjun, and they're talking about Adani Power. Now, we have seen a run-up in Adani stocks in the last couple of weeks, and they've already bought shares at a price of 195 rupees, and the stock is currently around 540 levels. Should they? What's the view for the 1 to 2 years? Now, we've seen positivity among the power sector, but Rohan, specifically on this one, how does it look?
If you remove the corporate governance concerns somebody may have, somebody won't have, then I think so Adani Power is one of the best value available in the whole Adani lot. And if they are holding Adani Power, I believe that if you want to give management a doubt, okay, maybe they are good or bad, it could be subjective, then I think so it's in hold from here, because the way the power things are going ahead and the way the growth is and expansion is coming, this could be at least a double-digit, 4-digit stocks in coming time.
4-digit stock. All right.
Yeah.
So I must, remind my viewers, we've got Sun Pharma and Mankind, which was given as a recommendation on the fundamental side to Shri, but he's also asked for entry level. So Vaishali, the quick question is, what level would you enter these two counters at from a perspective of 2 years?
So, well, Sun Pharma, overall, I think pharma stocks have done very well, and Sun Pharma also has really given a good run up. So I would say, the good entry level, since it's for a longer term, I would say it should be at least 1280 to 1300 levels. That would be the good entry level.
Right, just a standard disclosure that NDTV Profit is part of the NDTV group that is owned by Adani Enterprises. And moving on to the next one, we have a question on South India Bank. We've already talked about. Yeah.
Let me take one on Navin Fluorine then. We've got Shailendra, who's asking about this particular counter. He's bought at levels of 4,165. What advice would you give Vaishali on the charts?
I would say, well, this sector too has been a laggard. Talk about SRF, talk about Navin Fluorine. And Navin Fluorine per se, I would say that it's a good level to average out also, because I don't see any downside coming from here on. Technically also, it's making an effort to make a bounce from these levels. It's in an oversold zone. The worst that I see would be 32, 33, which is the previous low levels, 3,300 levels. So I would say start once again accumulating. Once we see a reversal in this, I think this is again ready to go towards a target of 4,000, 4,200 for now.
Right. Next up, we have a question from Omkar, and they're talking about Varun Beverages. They've bought the stock at 397 levels. The stock is currently above 1,200 levels. Now, they want a 1-year view on this. And Rohan, I'll come to you on this. We've seen brokerages being extremely positive on Varun Beverages. However, they also feel that the valuations may be slightly higher, and the price targets specifically are either at the same level or lower than the current market price. What do you think about Varun Beverages for the next 1 year?
I think so. I agree with all the brokerages house. It's a very straightforward thing that whatever was going to happen with Varun Beverages, the expectations are already met, and that's the reason they are available still at the current PE of somewhere around 80 and forward PE of maybe 60 or 65. So still it's very expensive according to whole world beverages you look forward for. So maybe from here, if somebody invests, the downside is more higher than the upside. So maybe wait for the time, let the stock get consolidated, the profit rises, and then it would be a good time to invest. So maybe for 2 or 3 quarters, it's a pause from here.
I hope that you took you just took Omkar's question. The next one is on Mukesh's question. Nestle is the name of the counter. He's bought at an average cost of 2,730. Okay, so what would you give as a recommendation for the long term? I guess Nestle is something that you generally hold in your long term portfolio. Rohan, what's the view here?
I think there are certain stocks which you don't have to too much analysis for it. I think so till the time all the Himalayas as Maggie and home as Maggie, you don't think forward for it. It's a great management, great company, and superior way it operates. Very positive. It's always an accumulation stock.
All right, that brings us, unfortunately, to the end of this particular edition of Ask Profit. Rohan, as well as Vaishali, thank you so much for joining in and answering all the questions that you did answer. And viewers, well, we couldn't possibly have taken all of your questions, but we did try. We will be back on Monday to take more from Smriti and myself and the team that put the show together. Thank you so much for watching. This is NDTV Profit.